Hello, and welcome to Goats and Gamebots, the unlicensed and completely uncalled for Survivor podcast. I'm Jack Pickard, Survivor superfan and rightful heir to the Probst Tribal Council stump. I'm also joined by my co-host, no vote finalist, Zach Madsen.
Hi.
And first boot, Andrew Terzigny.
That's accurate.
As always, the goal of this podcast is about two gamebots, Zach and myself, dragging our friend Andrew along our 40-season binge of Survivor. Today we'll be discussing Season 5, Thailand. So if you don't want that spoiled,
we got nothing for it. Grab stuff, head back to camp.
For those of you still with us, let's get it on. 40 seasons, 3 goofballs, 1 pointless podcast. Fellas, how we doing today?
Doing just fine.
I would like to take issue with first boot.
You said that's accurate.
It is accurate, but that's not where I want to go out. Yeah. I want to go out.
You don't get to decide where you go out.
I don't get to decide. I know how the game works.
I've watched 5 seasons.
But if ideally I chose when I got to go,
okay, yeah,
my ideal spot would be the first jury member.
Yep.
So you get to hang out in Ponderosa?
Mm-hmm. So you make it all the way to the merge. You get that sweet merge feast. And then you just gotta wait 3 more days.
Yeah.
And bam.
And then bam, you're in Ponderosa.
Those 3 days.
Mayor of Ponderosa, baby.
Those 3 days in Ponderosa where you're by yourself have to be glorious.
That's true, because with all the cameras and stuff, you don't get any, alone time. Mm-hmm. And that would, honestly, I think that would grate on you more than, we've seen.
Yeah.
Just not being able to be alone.
Yeah.
And then you get 3 glorious days in Ponderosa.
By yourself with, just service out the ass. You can get anything you want at any point.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
We were watching the Ponderosa videos for Winners at War, and to be voted out, right? To die and then go to purgatory, which is the edge of extinction, and then to finally be able to have a feast has to be like going to heaven.
Yeah.
It's got to be the best feeling in the world. So I understand where you're coming from, but I do believe that you would be a first.
Oh yeah, I believe that I would never step foot on the island.
That's true. You don't even want to.
I don't want to go.
I think, how do you feel? Would you do the Survivor if you were given the opportunity, Zach, or would you be against it?
Oh, I'm definitely down now. I know probably 6 months ago we had the conversation where I was like, yeah, I'm more for Big Brother because I want to stay inside. But now this third watch through of the show, I think has truly embedded the thought into my brain that I truly am not fulfilling my life until I play this game.
Yeah, right.
So
I'm right in there.
Yeah,
but
you have 5 audition tapes and I have 0, and that's my own fault.
Yeah.
But if Jeff,
you got to keep
found
shooting
the
your
podcast,
shot.
yeah, and was like, hey, we're doing an all super fan season. I know you have no audition tape, Zach, but big fan of the podcast. Would you like to play? I can't say no.
Yeah,
can't.
I mean, we got people. We got Boston Rob. Maybe we can get Jeff Probst next.
It's possible.
It's possible. Anything is possible.
On the pod?
On the pod.
Yeah, I mean, he probably
possible.
listens. We have about 12 listeners an episode. He's probably one of them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course.
In the early.
I love the idea that Jeff is constantly Googling his own name and Survivor, and just is always
a new pod.
Yeah, right. He's ooh, let me give this one a try, and it only goes for 4 episodes, and then it crashes and burns.
Well, we've made it further because this is episode 6 technically.
Yeah. But I think it's time that we stop stalling. And
actually, I have one more stall.
Okay, let's stall a little further.
Congratulations to Tony.
Oh yeah, Winners at War.
Winners at War. That was what an incredible win.
Absolutely, one of the best games I think of all time.
Wait, because you're bringing that up, he tweeted I think today and did this whole very humble tweet about saying thank you to everybody. I love you guys for all blah blah blah. Yeah. But he's like, I'm not amazing at anything, but I'm good at a lot of things, and Survivor's one of them. And he was being really humble, and I was like, Tony, you don't need to do this, because I want him to feel proud,
to rub it in people's face.
But then I looked in the comments, and every person was like, Tony, love to see the humbleness, but dude, you are the king of Survivor. You played the best game in the ultimate season. So that was nice to see.
Yeah.
See the fans bring him up. But he's just that kind of a guy, though.
It's we're going to let this get to your head one way or another. If you are actually humble about this, don't, man. You got to rub it in everyone's faces.
As a person who hadn't seen Tony's season and still has not.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm excited to get to it now.
I am excited
for a treat,
because that's one of the best newbie seasons in all of Survivor, in my opinion.
So many
and
good people.
the funny thing about it is so many people called Tony's, like, as it was airing, people didn't believe Tony was going to win.
Nope.
And then he won, and they're like, oh, it's a unicorn. It happens once in a lifetime. And now we're talking about the fucking 2 for 3 King of Survivor, baby. Like, you love to see it.
Right, and the fact that he won twice, both playing in 2 completely different ways. Like, Sandra won playing the same way pretty much both times, given they were very spread apart. But he played 2 completely different games.
Yeah.
And just effortlessly got to the end of both of them.
In his exit press, he was talking, he's like, I think this is like my ideal game. Like, I played the best version of my game that I could. And I agree with him. I think that, like, you know, somehow he was able to be patient this time around. He, like, really refined his game. But again, it'll be exciting to get to that point.
Yeah.
And again, I think it's time that maybe we start talking about the season that you came here to hear about, which is Survivor Thailand.
Nobody came here to hear this season. They came here for us.
Man. Well, nobody came here. Let's be clear.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's just leave it right there. Nobody came here.
Nobody came here.
Somebody was trying to listen to Goats and Trees by Foster the People, and they accidentally clicked Goats and Gamebots.
What is this?
Every time I go to search Goats and Gamebots, first thing I type, I do goats and then the letter A, and it's still Goats and Trees.
Yeah,
It's
right.
like, the letter A is not even in that fucking title.
Is it Best Friend, the standout on that album? They were just trying to listen to Best Friend, and then they ended up here. But yeah, we just finished the reunion of Survivor Thailand. Mm-hmm. Normally I'm pretty happy when I say that, but for obvious reasons, it's hard to not give our review until the end because we all believe this season is absolute garbage.
I don't think we need to give. We don't need to give our like actual number review right now, but we can reveal that we fucking hated this season.
Yeah, no,
I think that's okay. I think it's okay for you guys to know that.
This was a fucking chore.
This was my least favorite
difficult.
season. This was bad.
Well, Marques's episode ended with saying poo poo or just kind of poo poo.
Okay,
and
yeah,
I think
Jack Stradamus, because I was like, this is going to be a big old dump. And Zach was like, I don't know.
I was trying to be optimistic because honestly, this is the 3rd time I watched the season and I still didn't remember anything that happened.
Yeah.
So I should have taken that gut instinct of like not really knowing how this was going to go as it being bad.
Yeah.
Because you always remember the good seasons.
Yeah, no, this was
not a good season.
This is not a good season.
No.
It's definitely the worst season that we've seen so far. Mm-hmm. And the main, just in short, again, I'm struggling. I don't know what to say about this because it's so bad. Like, there's no reason to watch this. Like, you don't really get anything from it. So if you're like a Survivor super fan, I understand rewatching this season. But for anybody else, like if you're a casual watcher of this season, just don't watch it. Like, skip it. Because all you're going to get is really cringy moments, terrible people. There's nobody you can even really root for.
No. There's 2 reasons to watch this season. One is if you want to inflict a great deal of pain on yourself.
If you're a masochist.
For 13 hours straight. Or 2, if you have a podcast where 2 gamebots drag their goat friend along the entire season of Survivor 1 through 40.
Yeah.
Those are the only 2 reasons that you should watch
if it's not one of those 2 specific things, don't watch it.
Yep.
Because, it's real uncomfy. Now's the perfect time for a little bit of an ad read. This season of Survivor is brought to you by Audible Sighs. Audible Sighs. And we're back. Welcome back to the podcast. Now, again, for as bad as this season is, Andrew, there is one standout thing about it, I would say. I think it's time for some Andrew's Tribal Council review.
The Tribal Council for Survivor Thailand is my 2nd favorite Tribal Council.
Oh, okay. Really high ranking.
I have them written somewhere. Wow, I turned right to the page. That was incrable.
Yeah. We're really getting the hang of this podcast shit.
It's incredible. It's that like long firelit walk that they have to take out into the ocean.
Yeah.
And then it's made up like a Thai temple. It's very cool, very elegant, sophisticated. Mm-hmm. Second only to the Australian outback.
You love that Tribal Council.
It's on the edge of a waterfall, man.
I don't even remember what it looks like. I don't remember ever seeing a waterfall.
It is burned.
Yeah, no, it's right.
I love it.
It's going to take a lot to knock that. The day that we find a Tribal Council better than the one that they had in the outback, That's tough. Andrew's favorite season right there.
Yeah, that's tough.
Just for that alone. And also the snuffer.
The snuffer.
Jeff's dragon snuffer.
Epic. I have that now. Andrew, fan of Tribal and Snuffer.
Yeah.
Because the production design of this season's very cool because there's a lot of culture to go off of.
The immunity idol is like straight up.
That's just,
right?
That's the fault of this season is that everyone is a pile of garbage.
Producers are so stoked. They're like, we got the fucking sickest Tribal. Look at this snuffer. We spent $800 on this. Time to cast. Oops.
They just fumbled the ball so hard. Oh my goodness.
One thing left. Time to cast.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Oh no, why'd we leave that to the last minute?
It's like, shoot.
Damn, you hate to see it.
We spent 6 months on this snuffer.
Oh my goodness. I just don't know how you fumble the ball as hard as they did when it comes to casting.
Yeah.
Because really, I mean, I want to take a minute though. I think that Jake
is great.
is one likable person in a cast filled with just duds.
I like Jake a lot.
Jake is pretty much the only person you can root for all season and feel like an okay person.
Yeah.
Like if you root for anybody else, you just feel dirty. Like it's a real skeezy cast.
Well, here's the problem. Is there are some likable players, but the ones that are likable are not interesting. And like Jake's he's kind of interesting, and
he's got a little bit of
he's
a
a little bit
personality.
older, and like he's very physically fit. Like that's kind of cool, but other than that, there's not much else going on. But still, it would have been nice to see him not completely have to play from the bottom the entire time after the merge. And
that's it. It made sense to incorporate Jake as a number. Like part of the reason this season sucks so hard is because there's no gameplay whatsoever. And like the most memorable thing about the season is an incident involving Ted and Gandia that's just really, really uncomfy. And like where Survivor production dropped the ball as well in terms of like, I don't know, just the way it portrayed the story, getting involved, all that, which, reminds me of Island of the Idols in a lot of ways. Like a lot of the backlash we were seeing is very applicable to what we saw in Thailand as well. It was a different time.
Yeah, worth noting that Andrew has seen a little bit of Island of the Idols, so he's aware of the whole situation.
Incident.
I saw that part.
Yes.
I saw almost none of the rest of it.
You saw the finale and I didn't, so you've got that over me.
Well, and it's amazing that you're willing to go on this Survivor journey with the like limited information that you had prior to when we started watching.
Exactly.
Because like if you were to just see the Ted and Gandia incident and be like, hey, you should watch this show, it's like not a good look at all. So
the worst part of it all, like, I mean, I said this during the reunion. I don't care to talk about the whole issue too much because I don't think it's my place. I think everything that went down was very bad. But like the reunion was just so hard to watch. Gandia not really being able to defend herself because it seemed like everything was against her when in reality it shouldn't have been. But the worst part of it all is that we have to fucking watch Ted for the rest of the season. And then they try to like make him like through the edit this underdog that we want to root for. But like it doesn't matter what they do. I don't care how silly he is when he drinks 2 cups of red wine. Like there's nothing that's gonna make me like this guy. And
he's
every moment,
dirtbag.
Every moment he was on that screen was just another reminder of like how poorly everything was handled. And just like how despicable this season is in every aspect.
And
morally, gameplay, like there's no good thing about this season.
It's just so many dislikable people that it's so
Except for that snuffer.
That snuffer's nice.
And the thing I will say is the fact that the cast is so inept at playing the game and also so dislikable. We get a lot of quality Jeff. Because Jeff is so done with their bullshit the entire season. And I just love to see him call them out on it. Like there's that challenge where for Sukjai, like the younger tribe, it's like a physical contact challenge, and they're just not following the rules at all. Like you're supposed to be in a contact zone or whatever it is, and then like you could push people off, tackle them, whatever it is, and they are never in the zone. Sometimes they are in the water grabbing people's ankles and shit. And Jeff literally says, come on guys, I sound like a broken record. Like and like Sukjai wins that challenge because Sukjai is just so like they can't keep it in their pants. And Jeff is just so done with them. And at the reunion too, Jeff is like firing at people.
The reunion, he's just laying into him.
Our first Jeff reunion, and he fucking goes for it.
Knocks it out of the park. A minute into it, he's way better than Bryant Gumbel ever was. He's just like, he knows the game so well.
Yeah.
He's the original GameBot.
Truly.
I stand by that.
And like he was saying things like, this is a move you could have made. Why didn't you realize that? Somebody approached you, Jan. Why didn't you take the deal, and then you wouldn't have been in third place? And they're all like, oh, I didn't think about that. Oh, I'm sorry. And like he makes it so hot, and I appreciate it because it's a cast filled with people you want him to rip to shreds, and he does that. So he delivers.
He didn't hold it back on anyone. If they avoided the question, he was like, you're avoiding the question.
Yeah.
Answer it.
Yeah, or I'm going to talk to somebody else that will give me the answer, so you lost your chance to speak.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so... it's cathartic to watch Jeff just rip into these unlikable people.
The reunion is like, because we've been talking so much about like the evolution of Jeff as a host through these early seasons, because I think probably once we get to like Pearl Island All Stars, he just like hits that groove and he's still there, you know. He's still growing here. But this, like, I wrote a note because this season was the first time I felt like he was in full Jeff mode, you know. From like, because of that challenge and like at the auction with the margaritas, like he just like he's got those little jabs at people, and he's like being a little bit more Jeff. You know, like there's more of like a human to him than just like, I'm Safari host guy Jeff Probst. Like now he gets to actually like really get into it with them, and it's because they're so shitty that he gets there. So that's one thing we can give this season.
Jeff in the direction of having a personality.
It's a shitty season, but it gives us classic Jeff.
My favorite thing is he's at the auction, right? He's got a plate of nachos, and he goes, Jan, what goes well with nachos? And she's like, beer. And he's like, no, you're close. And she keeps guessing beer. And he's like, no, it's margaritas. Damn! But damn! He throws in a damn woman, you know, just like you can tell he's like frustrated. And I feel like this whole season is Jeff saying, damn woman, like play the game, like to everybody. The game is the woman, you know?
My favorite Jeff moment of the season, there's actually two of them. Where he's pulling out the names, the votes.
Oh, and then Denver Diva.
And he's like, all right, enough with the nicknames, guys. He's so mad there, but the best was it was in episode 13 where they're all standing on those like blocks and they have to like go find letters throughout the course and Jeff says this, and I kid you not, probably 15 times. He's like, you're standing on your first letter, you need to flip it over and take your first letter, and every single contestant ran away from their first letter.
And he just keeps reminding them of like, you need to come back. You need to come back. You were standing on it.
Brian was on like his third letter, and then he realized, oh, I have to go back for my first one.
It's a lot.
It's not even that the challenge is that complex. It's literally like this cast is they're so stupid.
They're not listening.
They really are dumb. And listen, we all know. How do I say this right? I don't want to offend an entire region again, but the majority, like 90% of this cast, is from the fucking South. Do you think that has anything to do with how correlation between how shitty this Not that anybody from the South is inherently dumb, but like I'm just saying this is the dumbest cast I can remember ever. And
Clay is the most Southern person I can think of. Like, if you were to be like, imagine someone from the South, I would think of Clay.
But like, listen to this because this is like something that I never really thought about until I was doing my number crunches. But John, Louisiana. Tanya, Tennessee. We got Jed, Texas. We got who's next? Aaron, Texas. Ken, no, another Texas.
I was gonna say Ken is as New York as it gets.
Right. Ted is from North Carolina. Helen is she's from the Northeast. Then we got a Florida, Louisiana. Like so many people from the fucking South. It's crazy.
I mean, you can't argue with the numbers. And this season is garbage, and there's a lot of Southern people in this season.
You know, is it a coincidence?
Potentially, like, not connected, but, you know. Draw your own assumptions. We're not here to tell you how to feel. We're just here to crunch the numbers.
Yeah, and I'm here to say stuff that is going to offend you.
Yeah. I mean, we already lost our entire... Like, if anybody was a Hufflepuff or from New England, like, we've already...
Yeah, you lost.
And now here's the South, like, the two main populated areas.
I only want the Midwest and California. That's the only people I care about.
I mean, Ted is just a special kind of stupid, though. Like, we've got
he's
this...
like big dumb.
Yeah,
I am 150 to 200% happy with the wife that I have.
No more, no less.
Which is
only between 150 to 200.
Which is the most oddly specific, and honestly, it's probably the most clear lie I've heard on Survivor. Of just like, he's covering his ass.
And he's making it up on the spot.
Yeah, and he's doing a terrible job of it. And get this, so he says, I am 150 to 200% happy with the wife that I currently have. And then later, he's talking about, like, I don't even know what it is. Gameplay somehow. He says 100,000,000%, or I only give 100,000,000%. So that's how he feels about that. He feels much less confident in his wife apparently, because he only gave her about 150 to 200% rating.
Yeah.
So
100 and a million %.
Yeah.
How do you beat that? Yeah, I mean, like, again, I don't want to go too much into the details of why the 150 to 200% thing happened, but like every time that would come up while we were watching it, like I couldn't hold in just like how upset it makes me, because as somebody who like I get flustered very easily when I'm not even trying to lie, and it's like in this situation we know what happened. You know, and the fact that he is so defensive and so flustered with everything is just like such a big giveaway. Mm-hmm. And like, it's so silly, but like him saying 150 to 200, something so like dumb and oddly specific, is just more of a tell that you're lying.
Yeah.
And the fact that no one in that moment, like, because like after this, it seems like everyone's on Ted's side, and like,
yeah, it doesn't make any fucking sense.
And nobody picked up on it, and it's just like it's fucking infuriating.
And again, we always keep coming back around to how terrible these people are. And I would like to highlight my least favorite, Helen.
Oh.
Helen.
I
anti-Helen.
have a burning hatred for Helen. I don't know what it is. Like, she does have her moments. I'm gonna give her moments.
With that being said, burning hatred, exact quote, you cried for Helen. I don't remember when.
No, I didn't cry for...
You were crying for Helen? Yeah, because I wrote it down.
Wait, during the family thing?
No, okay, so here's what happens, right? I was not crying. You make it seem like they show like a tape or something, right? And she shows her cat and she gets like really overwhelmed. I wasn't crying during that. You're making it, you're misinterpreting my tears. When her husband, she gets her husband to come back to camp because he wins a challenge, right? And then she has to say goodbye. And it's when she is like an emotional wreck because she has to say goodbye to her husband. I will admit, I did cry a little bit. I can hate Helen and still cry when I see her in pain. That makes me an empathetic person, a very well-rounded. I'm a sentimental king, okay? Like, I don't know what to tell you. I can cry for people that I still hate.
Would you cry for Ted?
No, I wouldn't cry for Ted.
Okay.
Then
we're good. We can move on from
yeah.
Would you cry for me, Argentina?
Yeah. Yeah, I would.
I personally have no tears left to cry.
But I feel like even certain people that I hate, I could cry for, you know? All right. Most likable person in this cast, the monkey.
The monkey.
That keeps breaking into their camp to steal
He knows
food
how
and stuff.
shitty they are, so he's like, I'm gonna fuck up this game for him.
These people are bad.
I'm just looking at my notes. This I think is a funny joke, but it's not going to really mean much because she got voted out so early. But you know, we have Tanya. I wrote a note and it just says "I Tanya."
I did.
And that's the joke.
That's the joke. I for what we saw of her, I like Tanya. Like, she wasn't like in a cast filled with least likable people. You gotta like grab on wherever you can. And that's why that's why I feel like Jeff has us hooked at this point, because Jeff, you could tell he's suffering through what he knows is a bad season, and we're right there alongside him, and we all have that sort of like breaking the fourth wall of like, this is bad. This is bad content. So I feel bonded to Jeff in a way that I wasn't before this traumatic experience.
Right.
Something traumatic happened that changed my life. Check. Thailand. Survivor Thailand.
It's funny now that I'm like looking at my notes from Thailand. I got maybe close to 3/4 of the page filled, but like all my other notes for episodes are like a whole page and then the back of it. Like I have nothing to say.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to think of things to talk about, but none of them seem worth it. It's like there's some gameplay. Oh yeah. So Andrew's showing me his notes right now, and they're also
so
very
empty.
very empty.
The only thing that page says is Jeff's visa.
It literally says
The only note he took all episode was Jeff's visa.
An important part. It's something that the fans love to see.
Yeah, I do love seeing Jeff's visa
Yeah,
get pulled
anytime
out.
he flashes it, you're like, ooh, he's got
Right.
money.
But looking through my notes, I do have like two things that I think we could kind of talk about.
Yeah, let's hear it.
And they are gameplay related, I know,
Oh, wow.
in a season where there isn't any really.
Yeah.
The first
you found
one,
2 moves this season.
I somehow did, yeah. So we got Brian revealing that he's a car salesman right away. So this is something I keep talking about. Obviously, it's still early days. Like, these people don't really understand the implications of, like, what they do kind of affecting their perception, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Because you'll see in later seasons, people who are cops or, like, poker players will lie about their profession because they don't want to be, like, seen as someone who knows how to be able to tell when you're lying, right?
Yeah.
Something that apparently only cops and
They
poker
don't want to,
players can
like,
do.
be skeezy.
Yeah,
But
so...
lying makes you skeezy.
Exactly,
Right? Like
so
if
that's
you're
the
lying
thing.
about your profession.
So what I want to ask you guys is, do you think Brian at all thought about telling his tribe mates what he does? Or like, do you think a part of him was like, should I lie? Or do you think he didn't even think about it at all?
Well, I don't think
'Cause
that he
that's-
was gonna come out and be like Brian, and then his lower third would say softcore porn star.
Well, that's what I was gonna say, in a
That's
very-
the truth too. What I'm saying is, could he lie? Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Brian was in a softcore porn with his wife. We'll get to that later. But.
We're gonna have an entirely new podcast based on just that.
Yeah, just this dude's, he's got the most interesting life. Like, honestly,
Interesting is too kind of a word.
Yeah.
A unique life.
Yeah, I don't even know. Like,
He's done some
He's
very
living.
weird shit. Yeah,
he's
He
like,
is alive.
yeah, but
he is.
yeah,
a person.
and that's what I was gonna say. I feel like him being a used car salesman is probably the least interesting thing about him.
Yeah.
So I feel like he maybe didn't think about revealing that because there were so many other things he was determined to not reveal. Of like, they can't know that me and my wife have starred in a softcore porn together called Passion's Obsession that the Goats and Gamebots have tried to watch.
You can't watch it anywhere.
It's nowhere
We
to
have
be
searched.
found. We tried to do our research. We tried to crunch that.
That's how
number,
much we
but-
care about these podcasts.
We did it for you, the fans.
I mean, that's not the type of information you get and just go, oh, okay, and then like leave it be. Like, you have to do the deep dive for the culture.
The culture.
But I feel like he was so determined to not reveal so many other things about himself that used car salesman
cool with
probably.
that.
Yeah, he was like, that's the least interesting thing about me.
Yeah, that seems like the obvious. That's how weak the gameplay has been.
Yeah.
Like, my question about gameplay is so like not even really a question. It's like, do you think
he's
he was
like,
gonna lie?
Didn't think about
I
it.
don't know. All right.
There's no right answer.
But it is interesting that it's a skeezy job, right? And
Yeah.
like
And he won in a skeezy way.
Yeah, he played a game that was very reminiscent of a used car salesman. And I wonder if there's almost any merit in telling people up front so that it's like, oh, well, what more did you expect?
Yeah.
Like, I told you right up front, this is what I do for a living.
Right.
And also, I feel like if he were to say anything else, they'd be like, that dude's a used car salesman. Like, you can't. He's just emulates the vibe or embodies it so much that
He
like
really
he
does.
couldn't pretend to be anything else.
Yeah, he's got this like very like one-dimensional like thing about him. It's
Yeah.
like, you look like you're only good at manipulating people, and that's all you have going for you.
Yeah.
And I mean, it is, and apparently that's enough to win the 5th season of Survivor, which is really depressing.
He's like, guys, I have something to tell you. I have attempted to steal the Declaration of Independence in the past, but Nick Cage stopped me.
He does look like Sean Bean.
I don't
though.
see it.
I only see it.
Only in that movie, for whatever reason.
I don't
And
see
maybe
it.
it's because that character's so skeezy. He just looks like, and honestly, his life has been so, like, crazy that I could see it. He may have tried to steal the Declaration
He's
of
definitely
Independence.
tried to steal some sort of like legal document of some kind. Maybe not the Declaration of Independence, but something.
Yeah.
Piggybacking off that gameplay, some other gameplay that wasn't really gameplay.
Yeah.
So I wrote my note, Clay actually playing? This is near like the final 6.
Yeah.
So he was promising Final Four to everybody, basically, and which I thought was kind of interesting. And that's what he says. He's like, I don't really care what I say to anybody as long as they think that I want to sit there at the end with them, then that's it.
Yeah.
So he's playing reckless, but it's strategy. Of course, it doesn't really work out for him in the end, but I have a question. Is this good or bad gameplay for this era of Survivor?
I'm going to say bad for this era.
Bad for this era? Because it's obviously bad for every other era. You don't want to, because everyone's going to talk to everybody.
Well, we'll see.
I'm thinking this is a good strategy for a season like this where no one's really talking to each other.
Yeah.
No one's like going up to you being like, has anybody offered you Final 3? Like if you're talking about that shit, that's going to stay between you two because no one's telling anybody anything.
Gotcha.
Whereas like say a season like 24, like in that kind of era, even like let's go with season 16, 15. It's like very obvious gameplay to like picky people's brain. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm getting lost in my thought right now.
Well, no, that's it's funny because I think we are saying different things for the same reason. I think that if you were to promise a Final Four to somebody in this era and then break that promise, it holds so much more weight than current days, where everybody is promising Final Fours.
Oh,
so your
point.
jury's not going to be salty.
True.
And at this point, you've got people who are so like Penny's question, her jury question was, "Do you know my sister's name?" That's what she's basing her vote off of. It's how well do like we bond and like have you lied to me and shit. And that's the whole game of Survivor. So I feel like if you were to promise Final Fours to a lot of people at this point in the game, you're going to have a very, very salty jury that won't understand that you're just playing the game. Versus now, when if you promise a Final Four to somebody, that's kind of what you got to do to get to a Final 3. Like you got to promise Final Four to somebody. Yeah.
What do you think, Andrew? Sorry.
Yeah. No. Go ahead. Yeah.
I agree.
It was.
That's not an answer.
I couldn't.
Do you think this is a good or bad gameplay for this era?
Do you want to pause?
No, it's fine. I just spilt my water. It's okay.
Okay.
It's a carpet.
That's kind of something we do in a lot of our podcasts.
This season is cursed. It's affecting
This
us in
podcast brought to you by spilling things.
brought to you by this cursed season.
Most of it went under the couch. We're fine.
All right.
It'll dry on itself. It's a little hot up here.
It'll
take a while.
I mean, I don't know why I expected the podcast for this season to be any better than the actual season, but this is just a real mess of a venture.
Yeah.
God damn.
You guys having fun? You enjoying this? Leave a comment down below.
Look, if we had to suffer through this season,
you gotta suffer through this episode.
Yeah, if we had to suffer through this season, you're gonna have to suffer through this podcast.
Exactly. But yeah, going back to the Clay thing, like I hear what you're saying. I think the only reason he felt like he was able to do this though is because he was on a high horse the whole fucking game. He was sitting on his pedestal. He was playing from the high ground. You know, he had nothing to lose, and that's why he felt like he could make Final Four deals with everybody.
And don't forget, Brian won, but it was by a vote, right?
By
Which
a
is
vote.
Incredible because Clay refused to answer questions.
Yeah, he pissed off 3 jury members. Went out of his way to do it. So
Brian, right? Brian didn't take that much heat. Like Clay got a whole you said some racist shit. Talk about that kind of heat, but Brian was mostly just kind of chilling. Got grilled by Helen, but that was it.
Yeah.
Which that whole instance was so stupid to me because Helen was like. I mean, she's the salty Sue this season.
Is the worst.
Yeah, she's salty Sue this season, but it's like she asked him the same question 8 times. He answered it the same answer every time, but she didn't actually listen until he was yelling at her.
Yeah, he was being put his foot down.
Yeah, he was being very kind. He's like, I was kind of angry at how you had blah 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 blah. And then she asked him again. By the end, he's like, I was angry. You're a bitch. Vote for me.
And she did.
And she did. And she won him the game. That just proves if you want to be good at things, yell at women.
Yeah, this was a real misogynistic season on top of everything else. There was so much
which is saying something.
We're watching the Amazon right now. So
Brian, Ted, and Clay just kind of being like, the women cook and clean, and that's what they do, and we lie around all day and play golf. That is. But I mean, I think that it probably led to Survivor being like, we should do a men versus women season, and that is the Amazon. Like, it was like, well, the divides are already there. Let's just see what happens when we make a season out of it. So Survivor
Can't get any worse than Thailand.
yeah, I feel like truly they had nothing to lose. And they were like, all right, let's just throw some more shit at the wall. And we end up getting like All Stars and Pearl Isles out of it in the next few seasons. So
Pearl Islands.
Islands, sorry.
It's okay. We got to keep each other honest.
We do. One of the biggest, I would say the biggest gameplay related move, was when Jeff did a rug pull on the merge.
Oh, yeah.
Where he was like, we're doing something a little bit different. You guys are going to stay on the same beach, right? And then Sheehan starts talking to the other group and like integrating herself as you do in a merge, right? And then they go to the challenge and Jeff's like, well, I certainly didn't say anything to make you think that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Boom!
Yeah, it's such
Bomb
like the
drop.
way he says it, he's got this shit-eating grin and he's just like, oh, I didn't say merge, did I? I didn't say that word. And like,
But it's
and then
so
Sheehan
good.
gets totally screwed by it.
Yeah.
And that changes the course of the game.
No
Just
wonder
prolonging right
at
after
the
that.
reunion. No wonder Jeff's like, I still have no idea how anybody wins this game. It's because you do shit like this. Like Sheehan probably could have won this game. Anyone else would have won this game had you not done that.
Yeah.
So there's your answer, Jeff.
And we talked about this. I think probably the only like truly rewarding win would be, or where you feel happy for the person, is Jake. I think if Jake wins, you're probably like, yeah, Jake.
I would
he
have been okay
deserves
with a
it.
Sheehan win.
He's a good person. Yeah, we didn't get to see enough of her.
Yeah.
I mean, like once we get
Sad.
to the merge, if it were to turn out a little bit differently,
If they had actually merged, I think she
Yeah.
would have had a really good shot at winning.
and we could have had like a Jake Sheehan, whatever final three.
That'd been
Jake,
fucking
Sheehan,
sick.
Brian, final three, and
No,
Brian
Brian.
gets no votes.
And that's
An
saying
ideal-
something because Sukjai is not. They're not enjoyable people either. They're just slightly less bad than Chewy Gong.
Yeah.
Coochie bong.
Coochie.
Like Rob with
guy.
two B's.
Poopy guy.
Rob with two B's is my least
Oh.
favorite Survivor player of all time thus far.
Out of the 7 seasons.
Really?
Out of the
8? Where's that Wars full season?
the like 8.5, maybe 7 to 8.5, somewhere in that
So
zone.
that's
Well, Rob
yeah.
is a very specific
that one
brand
seriously.
of awful. He's like that very specific early 2000s brand of awful where it's just...
Why'd he bring a skateboard to the island?
Yeah, he brought a skateboard.
That's like what he's most known for after the season. It's
He's
like,
bringing a skateboard.
Rob with two
Idiot.
B's. He choked a guy, said backwards hick, and brought a skateboard to a beach.
Yeah.
That's his resume.
We got to get that backwoods hick sound.
Did you see him? He's screaming. Backwoods hick. God, I've never seen so much like hate in a person's heart.
Yeah.
Like he's clearly like a really man.
And Rob had choked him.
What?
Or
That
Rob
is
had
Rob.
choked Clay.
Oh yeah, so Rob was the one doing the
Rob
choking,
was in the
and
wrong.
then
Yeah, okay, I see what you mean.
Rob was out of the zone, choking, and then still wanted to like take Clay out. And I think that says a lot about who Rob is as a person. Like, I think he's very self-conscious and probably has a lot of shit that needs to be worked on, and probably wasn't ready to come on a show like Survivor. But it seemed like he grew by the end, even though I really thought it was fake deep.
And I hope you guys like him because we see him for another 5 seasons. He returns on Winners of War, Island of the Idols.
True.
Rob really, where's Rob from? Rob with 2 B's.
Well, isn't he
I
from?
need this number crunched.
Isn't he from Scottsdale?
Is it Scottsdale?
Yeah, because we were joking of Scottsdale Rob.
Yeah, I hope you like Scottsdale Rob because he's the most prolific returner in all of Survivor.
Scottsdale Rob.
Scottsdale
Bartender.
Rob. Hell yeah.
Rob. How does he
My
get any
goodness.
tips at a bar?
I can't see anyone enjoying any sort of social interaction with this guy at any point.
They're like,
That's why
I
his
will
dad
give you
probably
money
hates
to
him.
leave me alone. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I have no filter on this podcast, especially on
Here's
this
the thing.
episode.
If we're gonna insult, like really insult a cast, this is the one to do it.
Yeah.
There's
Listen.
very few redeeming qualities about this cast as a whole. So let's go for it.
Yeah,
you know?
and I'm gonna make a vow right now. I will stop targeting innocent regions and religions, and I'll start focusing on targeting
Players.
shitty people like Rob.
Yeah,
like
okay.
Scottsdale Rob.
Well, I don't make that promise. so-
Justice for New England.
No. If you're from New England, we're still beefing.
Wait, I
Here's the-
never.
I can't do that because New Englanders would kick my ass.
Yeah,
If
they
I were to
would.
get in a fight with a New Englander, With the exception of Andrew, I think I could beat you.
I could beat Andrew.
Yeah. You could.
Yeah.
You could not.
I'm scrappy, bro. I'm scrappy.
Better watch your fucking shins.
I'm a quadger, man. I'm a... Yeah.
This is what the people came to listen to.
Us talking about who would win in a fight.
I guess here's the thing. Put Andrew and me out there on a blood versus water season, and we'll see. Put us on different tribes. We'll see who's scrappier.
No, put us together. I'll betray you.
This is an RS Vetus part 2, I think. Yeah.
And we're not even actual.
Yeah, there's
brothers.
not a lot, and there's not any bad blood between.
I love it's like in Survivor Marquesas when it's like Sean's buddy comes out. It's like everybody's moms and wives, and it's like, and Sean, your friend,
Paul.
that would be us.
We brought out.
Let's bring him out.
Yep.
Jack.
Oh my god! Is that my buddy?
Yeah.
We brought out your 2 podcast co-hosts. Please come on out, guys.
Everybody else has their
Sprinting
children.
out there.
I think that would bode pretty well for my game because it would be, Jeremy's constantly getting targeted because he's a firefighter with like a beautiful New England family.
Yeah.
That's a good thing about New England. I'm trying to get back to the good side.
We are family strong.
But like if I were to just bring out my buddies, they'd be like, well, nobody's gonna like.
But you
one's gonna
start
target me for
sobbing like
that.
we're your family.
He's got not one but 2 good friends. He needs to go home. They're just,
You can't have more than one good friend.
If he makes it to the end, they're just gonna hand him $1 million. 2 good friends? Wow.
The Survivor rulebook says you're only allowed to have one good friend. Jeff Probst wrote that.
Yeah. My goodness.
Yeah. I have to go to like my non-highlighted notes now.
I know, right?
I always highlight like the key points I want to talk about, but we're done. We got through
We
them
hit
all.
'em.
We usually don't get to all of them.
Yeah.
I've gone through all of my points.
I have one here.
You're like,
The tribe swap this season was just Jeff going, hey, y'all want to switch?
Here's your
And nobody
fucking
says yes, and he goes, all right, let's get to the challenge.
the
Like,
only person who considered it was Sheehan.
Yeah.
And she was like, let's stick it out.
should she
should've.
have switched?
Yes.
Big time.
Yep. Okay.
Had she known that the merge wasn't actually a merge, she would have.
Would she have switched for that? So in the auction, would she have been with the other tribe? Because she could have gotten
Probably.
margaritas. She could have gotten margaritas.
I'm sorry, what could she have gotten?
Margaritas!
Damn!
Come on!
Damn, woman, you should have made that switch. You could have gotten margaritas.
She got margaritas.
On this podcast, instead of a bruh moment, it's a damn woman moment.
Damn, woman.
Damn woman.
Yeah.
We could talk about this for 4.5 seconds. We skipped the closer look again.
Yeah.
Because if we
What
had
a
skipped
terrible
them
episode.
every other season, could you imagine how garbage it would have been
Yeah.
this season?
Yeah.
I would have had no interest in watching.
We barely got
anybody's.
through the Outback, and that has so many interesting people in it, right? Like,
We've never successfully gotten through a full closer look.
yeah, there's a reason why they don't do them anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's also kind of like that. What's it when they like have all the torches of the people who've been voted out, and then they get their like 2 seconds,
Oh, yeah.
right? It's kind of like that, but it's a whole episode of that, and it's much worse.
Yeah. If I
In
was
every regard.
if I was watching this in 2002, 6-year-old me, because I would have just turned 6.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at the air dates.
Okay.
6-year-old me would have been so angry at the closer look episode every time it came up.
Yeah.
Is
I
it?
mean,
I watched like the last week's episode and I'm like, yes, let's go. And then they hit you next week. You think it's a brand new episode. It's the
not.
closer look episode.
Yeah.
I'd
that
be
would suck.
so mad.
It's already such a pain to have to wait week to week. Like watching a season live is so much more like I just wish I could binge it. Like we're in the era of binging, so you just want to naturally like fly through it.
And especially since we're just binging the hell out of these ones.
Yeah.
I mean, we kill a season a week.
I was properly like anxious about episodes of Winners at War, where like I thought my favorites were in danger, and I was like sweating it for a whole week to like get some sort of closure. So yeah, like the closer look would just be a giant step back, and it would
Just
be
a
even more of a
giant middle finger.
Although they do post so much stuff online now that's like secret scenes and what, I think that's their version of
Yeah.
it. It's like you can check it out if you want to. We're not going to dedicate an episode to it.
We're not
but,
going to shove it down your
Because it's
throat.
not about
Yeah.
the human element anymore. It's about the game.
That's true.
I don't care about the
So
human
you
element.
can take the human element stuff and then
They
bump
have to
it
go
the
light
end.
with it. You get like 10 seconds of it per episode now.
Yeah.
Everything else is exteriorly found.
But that's why I think it would be, if we were to move to 90-minute episodes, that would be dope because we could get more human element and be able to fully flesh out the gameplay. So I'm with it. That's my stance on that.
I'm with it. All right, on that note, do you guys want to set up an ad read?
Yep. This season, brought to you by the brand new 2002 Chevy Trailblazer. The gameplay and social dynamics may set you back a whole decade, but you're going to blaze some trails in this new car. Check out the 2002 Chevy Trailblazer. And welcome back.
There's nothing I love more than blazing some trails.
Blazing some
trails with the bros.
Jeff, I mean, that was one of the highlights of this season, a small moment, but Jeff ambushes them on a beach in this Chevy Trailblazer. He's like, get in, losers, we're going to the challenge.
He says, come on in, guys.
Oh yeah, he's like,
Come on in, guys.
So they all file into the Trailblazer and then they go to the challenge. And he's like swerving, right? Like he's really getting into it, which I think he's enjoying, throwing them for a loop and just kind of screwing with them. Because again, you can tell Jeff doesn't like these people either.
Homie, don't play like that.
Yeah.
I have another positive of this season that I just thought of. Yeah. Shocking. The challenges.
Yeah.
They're cool.
Yeah.
They're well thought of challenges. Again, the production design on them is the best it's ever been.
There's a few flops, but for the most part, they're all produced with the level that you expect out of Survivor challenges.
Yes, and Jeff, for the most part, is announcing and calling them.
Yeah.
To a degree.
This is another reason why I keep referring to this season as such a blue balling season, because it's we finally have gone through the clunkiness of the first 4 seasons.
Yeah.
They're kind of in a groove production wise, and we get a beautiful tribal, beautiful snuffer, beautiful challenges. Jeff's in fucking Jeff mode, and then you get this cast, and it's we just wasted all of that.
Yeah.
We're finally here, so it's that's why getting to the Amazon has felt so good for us.
Yeah,
because it's finally all right, it's all in motion now. These people are slightly better,
and to know we're in motion towards Pearl Islands and All Stars, it just feels so good. It's gonna be the sweet release thing. Yeah, and that's what I like about this show is every 10 seasons or so there's that one season that it's that wouldn't have been possible without all the Thailands that I watched, right? Yeah, so it will be worth it. It's just not worth it now.
Right.
So within the context of an entire watch, I guess you got to have some duds to appreciate the ones that you... that's the silver lining, I guess.
It's essential. It's kind of when, let's go with a Game of Thrones. It's okay, it's a lot of build-up, but episode 9 of the season is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It's Red Wedding.
Yeah.
Okay. It's you kind of need to go through that.
Slow build.
Yeah. We need these seasons as much as we hate them, because we're going to get into that groove of really awesome casts. The game's already at high level. But yeah.
And again, the show at this point is refined in a lot of ways that it wasn't prior to this season. It's just, unfortunately, it is a big step back in terms of the people that you're watching. You can't really root for anybody, and that's what makes it not so enjoyable of a season. But there was also, referring to the challenges, there was that reward where you won a red beret guy who came to their camp and helped them build fire pits and know what to eat and how to fish, and that is a bitchin' reward.
Yeah, that was a great reward.
Yeah. Although there is a few challenges that I don't think you liked. There was the one where they had to haul the dummy.
Oh,
it was 250 pounds.
That's my least favorite challenge of all time.
Yeah. They had to dummy. That dummy
was
thick.
The point?
This season, in a way, was kind of a 200-pound dummy.
That Jeff was carrying around on his own.
Yeah, and it was just they do that challenge again. It's just much more fun to watch.
Why did they have to dress it up?
Yeah, that was a weird point.
It's silly. It's silly.
Well, I mean, there's still so much of the ceremony that goes on. In Marquesas, they had to paint themselves head to toe. In this one, it's paint the dummies, and then I think you have to make these little foam floats for everybody you voted out and send them off. That's their version of the walk of shame or whatever. But yeah, it's just kind of the ceremony of it. It's still trying to figure out what that is.
Yeah, there's still relies heavily on ceremony and the culture of the places that they are, because even in this season, Ted was, I have a vivid image of a bald Ted painted gold,
Oh yes,
Looking
that's
like a-
nightmare fuel, bro.
looking like a garbage version of Terry Crews in that one Brooklyn Nine-Nine episode where he paints himself gold.
Oh my god. Okay, number crunch. Who was that wrestler that like was gold? Do you guys remember? Did you watch professional wrestling?
No.
I was never a
Yeah, it
wrestling
wasn't
boy.
Just me?
All right, sorry.
There's a wrestler who always like painted his like whole head gold. Oh, God, I can't remember who it is, but like the
Is this Goldfinger?
maybe
No, that was
That is a
Austin
James
Powers.
Bond villain. Oh yeah,
Austin
Right?
Powers.
Or is
Gold.
it-
No,
Goldmember is
Yeah.
the
Goldfinger
James Bond
is-
Gold.
Goldfinger is an actual.
Goldfinger is James Bond. Goldmember is Austin Powers.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, that's what I meant to say.
Anyway,
God damn it.
sorry,
Anyway.
wrestler with a gold head.
Yeah,
Yeah, there was also a wrestler named Goldberg, but it wasn't him that said. Let's look it up. You guys keep talking about Survivor. I'll look at this.
But yeah, and also that challenge with the fish. Did you remember?
yeah,
There was one where they had like 4 different tubs of fish, and then they had to
they
organize
had to
it.
sort out the fish based on,
Yeah,
like I guess type of fish.
yeah.
which was
what
dumb.
What a weird challenge.
My 2 notes were
I crunched the number. I'm sorry I cut you off. His name's Gold Dust.
Gold Dust.
That's who I thought about when I saw Ted. You guys want to see pictures?
Oh, yep. That he does paint.
Oh yeah,
His
that's
ball is gold. It's Ted. Alright, back to Survivor.
I wrote about that one challenge where they had to sort fish.
Yeah.
Weird, smells bad. So
No redeeming qualities about that challenge. It's both weird and smells bad.
I will give it though. Episode 7 had a very unique challenge. It was the one where they had to do the jailbreak, and it was a unique challenge. One, because we hadn't seen it before, and 2, it was like tailored to the island because the island used to be a prison,
Oh yeah.
which again is relying heavily on culture.
This season, in a way, is kind of a prison.
Yeah, it's the thematic tie for the season. We're
Thematic
all captive.
Tie.
Oh!
Oh shit! Let's go!
Unintentional puns! But yeah. We always go back to this. Here's the thing. Like, normally in our podcast, we can't talk enough about things, right? Like, it's like, by the end of an episode, it's like, oh, we didn't talk about all those things that we wanted to.
We barely talked about Vesepia last episode. She won.
Yeah, right? Like, we just have so much we can't get to because we're so excited to talk about it. And this one, whenever we're done talking about a point, we go back to this state of despair.
like,
we're all
yeah.
just like, oh, we got to keep talking about this shit. So we're going to try and keep this one a little more brief for you because ain't nobody have to, like, we don't want to put you through that.
Yeah.
As much as we joke about you having to suffer the way we did, we're not going to do that to you because this is a garbage ass season.
Presumably, you've already suffered because you've watched
Yeah.
Survivor garbage pile.
Yeah, in the past.
Exactly.
Whenever it was, if you were thinking of redoing it, don't. Do not.
What's the worst Survivor season you can think of right now? Mine would be Survivor Cleveland.
Oh, fake.
You mean like a
I was like, we just watched it.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's Survivor Thailand, but you mean like a place that's
Mine is either Survivor Cleveland or I think this is probably way worse. Survivor Orlando. Could you imagine?
okay. Here's the thing: Survivor Orlando would be balls to the wall, bro. You'd have like people in Mickey Mouse hats that are like, shanking people. You would have like meth heads. Like it'd be meth heads versus Disney like fanatics. That would be Survivor Orlando.
I'm trying to get some Survivor rural Ottawa.
Oh well, yeah.
I feel like that could be fun. They have to like go farm.
Yeah.
Could be cool.
I feel like Survivor North Korea would probably be ass.
I feel like one person would just dictate the whole season. Thank you. That's been my time.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'm gonna
Zach's
go.
just gonna go.
I'm out of here. See you
All right,
guys.
that's it.
We gotta finish this episode without him.
You gotta know, like, dictator.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, okay, I get it.
thank
now.
you. This has been my time. All right. I was expecting more of a reaction. I thought that was the pun of the episode.
it was a good one. It was a good one. But yeah,
I'm single, ladies.
those
real
would all
funny.
be truly terrible seasons of Survivor. Although we are just offending more, like North Korea now on the shit list. I don't think you want to be
we were
on.
You know
already
what?
on the
I will
good
go.
list?
I will go on record right now and say it. Fuck North Korea. Hot take?
Yeah.
I might get some hate for this.
Holy shit,
But I do not
man.
fuck with North Korea.
Did we ever figure out, is Kim Jong-un dead or
No, he's alive, yeah.
He's alive?
He's alive. He was just like,
And he was like, gotcha.
Wasn't there some like story? It's like he was like faking his death to like reveal traitors within his like cabinet or whatever.
Really?
You guys hear
Is
about
that-
that?
No.
That's what they're saying. I think he really was fucking dying, and they're trying to play it off like he wasn't.
no big deal.
Or maybe he is dead, just like Paul McCartney.
He's got the
Yeah,
Avril Lavigne.
Avril Lavigne is dead.
she's definitely dead.
You can change my mind about that.
Really? You're an Avril
There are
Lavigne?
two things you cannot change my mind about. Avril Lavigne is dead, and Leah Michelle does not know how to read.
Yeah, those are your two conspiracy
And birds
theories.
are not real.
Also, birds are not real, but
yeah.
that's just fact.
I also
That's fact.
believe
They
Leah
were
Michelle
messed up.
can't read, so...
Leah Michelle, if you're listening to this, please come on the podcast and read something to
Well,
us.
of course she's listening to it, because what's she gonna do, pick up a book? She can't read.
She can't read the transcript
How did she
version.
get
She listens
on
to
Spotify
everything.
and type in Goats and GameBots?
Ryan Murphy just did it for her.
All right, I think it's time to segue into the top three.
Okay, what's the top
Because
three
it's
today?
one of the last things we do, and this needs to be over. Top three this week is worst move. So the funny thing about this is the first time before the season started, I was like, I'll think of the question now. And I was like, this is pretty generic for a generic season. There's going to be some bad moves, so let's ask the question. What's going to be the worst move?
They were like, no moves.
There was no moves. So this is going to be some rough stuff, but let's hear it, guys.
Okay, I would say I think the worst move in the game is Brian saying road trip aloud for Ted to hear. So
Ooh.
if you're not familiar with this challenge, it was a reward challenge where you could win a 2002 Chevy Trailblazer. And you had to spell
some
out
trails.
Yeah, you had to spell out the word, solve a riddle, and
I think that was the flip challenge where they all missed their first letter.
Oh, okay, same challenge. He misspelled road in road trip. It was RAOD. And then here's the thing, though.
Railroad.
Jeff asked him what he was trying to spell,
Right.
and he said road trip. And he was like, that's not road trip. And in hearing him, Ted just did road trip
just wrote
and
that
then
down.
won the Trailblazer.
He's like, oh, I can spell that word. All right.
Yeah, another a reason why this season is terrible, because Ted, one of the most dislikable people, wins
Gets
the
the
car, and he didn't even earn it. He just kind of slid in. So I think probably the worst move is saying that aloud, because that's a whole ass car.
Yeah. I mean, all these answers are going to be stretches, and this is also a stretch because it's not even really Brian, like his fault.
Yeah, it's not a move. It's just kind of like a misstep.
I mean, yeah, an accident. And also the challenge, the way it was designed, Jeff asking him what he's trying to spell.
Yeah.
You know, Brian's kind of set up for failure unless he spelled the word right.
Although now
so it is on him for the worst move was him spelling it wrong.
yeah,
Should
right.
have double checked.
Yeah.
Well,
that's on you, boy.
Now that I'm thinking about it, right, this is how I always psych myself out and think about all the layers to something. But maybe it's a good move, because like this was a season that was fueled a lot by financial reasons. Helen voted like 3 different people because she thought they were well off and didn't need the money, right? And then like we saw like Brian's house with a nice piano, and she's like, Brian's got money, maybe I should vote him off. Like, and to give people more fuel to that, being like, he already has nice cars and now he got a Trailblazer, that probably would have been the nail in Brian's coffin, at least for Helen's side, because she
Yeah.
was so obsessed with money.
And that would have
that it
maybe
was
been the one
frustrating.
vote.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
there you go. I've convinced myself that maybe it wasn't
Maybe it
a bad
was a
move
good
after
move.
all. It's the way it was supposed to happen.
The season just is not giving us any room to do anything. We
Yeah.
can't even answer this question.
Yeah, sorry. But that's my answer. I'm sticking with
I like it.
Mine is a hypothetical that we've kind of already talked about, but I think Sheehan should have jumped ship when she was given the chance.
Oh,
Yeah.
the want to switch tribes?
Does anyone want to switch tribes? She knew she was at least the bottom 2 of the tribe she was in.
Yeah.
Should have jumped ship to the other one. You would have been at the bottom, but they would have at least probably given you a chance to speak your piece.
Yeah. I agree. That I think probably is objectively the worst move the whole season. As much as I like Sheehan.
She was
Sheehan's
my
a
favorite
great
player.
character in a cast filled with other
Yeah.
people that aren't.
But you also have to take that move with a grain of salt because she didn't know the merge was going to go down the way
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
did. So
Right.
it's like,
Again, and it's not even a move that's her fault.
yeah, right. It's a move that probably everyone else would like. We would have done it. You know, I would have tried to play it safe at that time.
And that's, I think part of the reason, too, this season sucks so much is there was so much potential for moves to be made, and they never were. Everyone was just very satisfied sticking to the status quo. Like, Helen and Jan could have moved against Brian and Clay, but they just didn't. Like, Sheehan could have jumped ship and switched the game up, but she didn't. Like, and then even we get that weird merge, like, something could have happened there, but it didn't. All that happened is Sheehan furthered herself on the outs and then got taken out, and then they got pagonged. So it was just lack of gameplay all around, despite having so many potentials to spur the game in a certain direction. It's just a bunch of spineless people without any balls to make moves.
Spineless.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I brought the room down again.
No.
I felt it come down.
I'm like angry.
Yeah, right?
We're just sitting here like, yikes.
I'm thinking about...
Yeah, how about you? What's your worst move?
Worst move?
So, the worst move of Survivor Thailand, in my opinion, guys, was airing it. They're acting like they haven't heard this joke yet.
Yeah, no, he said it before. We were giving him a courtesy laugh, but it's still funny.
But it is funny.
Yeah, no, I mean, like,
I agree with it.
For my fake answer, yeah, that's what I'll say. But actually, in my opinion, the worst move of this game was towards the end there, because they even talked about this in the reunion, but having Jan flip with Helen and Ted, and then our homie was still in the game, Jake.
Yeah.
They could have flipped the numbers.
With Jake.
And no Brian, no Clay. They're not winning this game. I think it would have shaped out to be a much more interesting end to the season. It wouldn't have made it much better, but I think that was the biggest mistake, and it wasn't even a move that was made. Yeah. So but bad move, not flipping.
Yeah. So I guess it applies to the moves you could have made but didn't. Yeah. Because a lot of this is the fact that this cast was willing to stick to the status quo the entire time and get picked off, and that challenge in the Marquesas where it's like, oh, we're going 6th and we're not cool with that. If that were to happen this season, they'd be like, all right, I'm going 6th.
Yeah, and then fucking
nothing I can do about that.
Ryan even tells Jan, he's like, you're gonna be 3rd, and that's gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's another thing. He's like, financially, it's better than 4th. And she's like, all right, yes, you are right.
You got a good point there. You're a charmer. You're a charmer.
And I gotta give Jan credit because she's not an unlikable person. There's just not much to like. She's kind of like, she's her one quality is likable, but there's not a lot of substance for you to like.
Yeah, she's a good time, but that's about it. That's all she got. Yeah. And for a teacher, she's pretty fucking stupid.
Yep.
Like, just so like at the reunion when she's like, oh, I didn't know Helen approached me, and Helen's like, I did.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it was our chance. We could have had it so good.
Yeah,
that's my Helen impression.
That was a pretty good one.
Thank you.
All you gotta do is whine.
We'll have to get her on the show
incessantly
and scream at your husband.
No, we should not get Helen on the show.
Can we get Helen on the horn?
We should get
Austin. Hook that up.
We should get Helen as far away from this podcast as possible. We're going to take a real quick ad break, and when we come back, we're going to do the babe and hunk of the season and start to wrap this up so you don't have to listen to any more talk about Survivor Thailand.
And some asshole has a meeting he's got to get to in 15 minutes.
Wow, what a fucking loser.
The asshole's me.
Yeah, I know. This season of Survivor is brought to you by Jan's Pet Cemetery. It don't matter if you're chicken feet or a bat fetus. Jan's going to cry for you and bury you in her cemetery. All right, and we're back.
As a bat fetus, that's really comforting to hear that if I died, someone would care.
As severed chicken feet and a severed chicken head, it's very comforting to hear.
Yeah, I just wanted to put that out into the universe. We needed some positive vibes after this season. That no matter who you are, Jan will cry for you and bury you right next to a bat fetus.
You hear that, Ted Bundy? She cried for you.
So, I mean, let's get into the Island Babe and Beefcake of the season.
You're really pushing the beefcake thing.
If we can do alliteration, I think we have an obligation to do alliteration.
By the time we get to season 40, it's going to be something ridiculous.
Yeah, completely different anyway.
Our sexy sand boy is Boss and Ralph.
Yeah. But yeah, who do we think are the babes and hunk of this season? We're going to start with Babe. I just kind of like to set the playing field a little bit. I feel like we've got some options, right? We've got Sheehan, maybe. We've got maybe Aaron, Penny, right? Who do we feel like could be the babe this season?
My pick for Babe of the Season is Brian's wife.
Brian's wife!
Softcore porn star.
Yeah.
Brian's wife.
I think just so her name is Cece Costigan.
Her name is Brian's wife.
But yeah, we could keep referring to her
No,
as
I'm sorry,
Brian's wife.
Cece.
No.
If anything, Brian should be referred to as Cece's
Cece's husband.
Cece's
Yeah.
husband, yeah, actually.
Winner of Survivor Thailand, Cece's husband.
Yeah. But yeah, I honestly think that if that's something that's allowed within the rules, I know she wasn't a player this season, but we don't have many options.
Mm-hmm.
So
my other pick is Sheehan because I like her so much.
If we have to pick survivors, I'm picking Sheehan. She's a babe.
but do we have to pick survivors?
We make the rules, so no.
Yeah, I say no, and I say she was on the island.
She went to the island.
She went to the island.
When it was just the video?
She ate gross shit. Yeah, when it was the video,
Maybe not.
could go either way.
But she showed up on the island.
She did.
Boots on the ground.
She was out there. She
she
participated
did the
in
bare minimum.
she participated
That's
in
how
a
low
challenge.
the bar is.
Two of them.
She ate 2 bugs.
Yeah, and then she did the one where they had to put together the puzzle together
Oh,
that
yeah.
Ted and her brother won. So she did participate in 2 challenges, right? One for immunity, even though she wasn't the one whose ass was on the line.
And one for reward.
Yeah, so I would say there's a really
Let's
good
give it to
case
Brian's
for
wife.
Brian's wife. All right.
The tribe has spoken.
Brian's
Great use of that soundbite.
right. Brian's wife is the official babe of the season.
Love it.
Travis spoken.
Stunner.
Yeah. Let's move on to the hunk. Who do we think the hunk this season is?
Another controversial pick coming out from Andrew, the monkey. He just
let's hear
rolled
your
up
case.
in there, stole their stuff, which was amazing.
Good confidence.
Confidence.
It's big dick energy.
Yeah. Would walk in, eat their food, presumably pissed in their cave.
Yeah.
Because there was that whole episode was like, are the people pissing in the cave?
Is the monkey pissing?
We're pretty sure, here at Goats and Gamebots, we're pretty sure it was the monkey. I mean,
Could have been both.
could have been both, but I feel like the people weren't that dumb to piss right next to where they sleep.
It was Jan's tribe. Let's not forget. And Ted.
But that's my pick. The
I am
monkey.
150 to 200% sure I'm not pissing in this cave. I think it's the monkey. But yeah, there's a case for the monkey.
My
there.
pick is the monkey. I can be persuaded.
As much as maybe he's a skeezy one. I think maybe Brian. I think there's a case there. But my argument is going to be Jake. I think Jake is again one of the more likable people this season. If I had to root for somebody, I'm going to root for Jake. He's a land broker in Texas or something, right? So he's good with his hands, right? He's got a lot of like campfire stories. We heard some of those, and he's like, I don't know. There's something. He's a sentimental king too, because he was crying when his wife came out there.
It's true.
And
He really loves his wife.
We love here on Goats and Gamebots. So to see that was a little bit moving. So I would present the case that it's coming down to between Jake and a monkey.
So far, you might persuade the monkey vote. Let's hear what Mr. Zach's got.
I want to make a case for Ken, just because 9/11.
Oh yeah.
Never forget. So NYPD officer.
Yeah, he's a hero.
And he's a hero. Yeah, and that's all. That's it.
Oh, okay.
Because in America,
And he's a straight
never
shooter.
forget.
He's a straight shooter.
No, I mean, like, he wasn't great or anything, honestly. I'd probably pick Jake over him, but I don't know.
Okay.
I'm trying to make this interesting.
Yeah.
This is the least interesting baby.
We got to make it interesting somehow. How we feeling? What's
I
the
think
room
it's
feel?
Jake.
It's Jake. How do you feel about that?
Let's go with
Zach?
Jake.
All right.
Yeah.
Official.
The only likable person this season.
The official hunk of Thailand is Jake.
The tribe has spoken.
That, by the way, is Greg's torch being snuffed.
Greg, season 1.
Yeah. I figured, we hated him so much that just a little way we could bring joy to ourselves throughout this is to hear him get snuffed a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the soundbite.
Let's get this over with.
Yeah.
It's time for our ratings.
Ooh.
Really, is there any other number crunches before we get into it? No.
No.
I didn't have any pre-crunches for this.
There is something I'm curious about before we just very brief. We talked kind of a little bit about Brian, right? I don't want to do a full winner review because I just don't want to give this season that honor, right? But what's the deal with Brian and a bow and arrow and some sort of animal?
Okay, I guess we can drop this bomb because this is something that
because I know vaguely, but I don't know the full story, so I don't want to. I kind of want that number crunched.
You're confusing the heck out of me, folks.
So you're familiar with Brian, the winner
of Survivor Thailand?
Vaguely, only in passing.
Softcore porn.
Oh
star,
yeah.
Brian.
I know him more from that.
National treasure. Actor.
Sean Bean impersonator.
Sean Bean impersonator.
So we're not going to spend any time talking about this, but I think it should be known that this happened because it displays even more why Brian's one of the shittiest winners in the history. Because he's just a shitty person. But in 2006, Brian was arrested and charged with battery and cruelty to animals after he shot a puppy with a bow and arrow.
Yeah, so...
What is this, the 1800s? Well, first of all, who has a bow and arrow?
let's just leave it right there. Who has a bow and arrow?
All right, thank you for listening.
We pissed off
this week's
anybody
episode.
I
don't necessarily know if it was like an accident or if he was straight up like,
you don't accidentally
put that puppy right there. I'm gonna hit him.
Here's the thing: if it were any a gun can go off accidentally, right? A bow and arrow, you have to pull back.
You have to pull it.
You have to put an arrow in it. You have to pull it back, and you have to aim. And it's just the act of shooting a bow and arrow requires so much effort that
So not only is this man a sinner of the Lord by having premarital sex. Assuming that he wasn't married to his wife.
I think they were married.
All right. Well, he probably had premarital sex at some point and killed a puppy. God damn you! Go to hell. Go to hell, Brian.
Yeah, I don't want to. I'm upset. I'm upset.
Yeah.
50 million. I'm gonna hit this bitch.
Did the puppy die?
I would think so. It got shot with a bow and arrow.
How does Jan feel? How does Jan feel?
Jan buried it.
Jan buried it.
Jan buried it. All right.
Let's finish this shit.
I've been looking forward to this the whole episode.
Right.
I want to go first.
All right. Where does this season fall on the Pitchfork review scale?
All right. For my rating, I would like to reference an actual existing review on pitchfork.com. It is the review for the band Jet. Mm-hmm. Have you heard of them?
Yep.
Their second album, Shine On.
Yep.
We're familiar? So famously, Pitchfork gave this album a 0.0.
Wow.
And instead of writing a review, they only posted a video of a monkey pissing in its mouth. That's the review of Jet's album, Shine On. And that's also my review of Survivor Thailand. It's a monkey pissing in his mouth.
Wow, that's super relevant to the season too, with
the monkey,
the monkey and the piss and all of it, really. So I think it's very fitting.
Yeah.
So
that's how I feel. If any other season is worse than this, somehow I don't know how I'll act. If we somehow find a season worse than Thailand, I don't know. That episode's going to be something to listen to. Let me tell you, because I'm going to go berserk. It doesn't seem like it's possible.
This one, if you haven't noticed, this one kind of broke our spirit a little bit. Like
if it wasn't for the 2 cups of coffee I had, I would have not had anything to say.
We were trying to get Andrew to watch Amazon for a good few days, and you were like,
I couldn't.
I can't bring myself to watch any Survivor for a sec.
We had finished arguably the best season, Winners at War.
Yeah.
And the worst season in the same 3 days.
That's wild, yeah.
That is...
I just couldn't take anymore. I had to take a couple-day break.
Yeah, it's been a lot of Survivor.
With that being said, we've started...
We're watching Peridium videos. It's been a lot of Survivor.
Yeah. But, Andrew, that being said, how would this season fall on your coconut rating scale?
1 out of 5 coconuts.
1 out of 5.
Yep. Because...
Is 0 an option?
It is.
Okay, so 1 out of 5.
So there are some redeeming things.
I purposely gave it a 1 because, and I wrote this down, episode 4. Cool tribal, cool torches, cool snuffer, cool location, bad people.
Yeah. So, I mean, it speaks to how you've grown because, we've talked about how the challenges are sort of your thing, right? Mm-hmm. Tribal council is sort of your thing. And both of those qualities, very good in this season.
They were great in this season.
And I think that it is sort of an interesting take for you to have based off how highly you rate those things. So I think we're getting to a point where you're starting to value a good cast, actual gameplay. Like, these sort of things are starting to hold more weight in your eyes.
Well, I mean, your piece of content can look beautiful, but if you got nothing going on,
Yeah, it's garbage.
it's garbage.
Yeah. Okay. So 1 out of 5 coconuts.
1 out of 5 coconuts.
And
Before you give your answer, can we please name this episode Coochie Bong?
Coochie Bong.
I think it's the title it deserves.
I don't know what else to call it.
Leave a comment down below if you want this to be titled Coochie Bong. Even though by the time you're listening to this, we'll have already picked the title.
It will already be out there.
We will retroactively change the title.
I think it's what this season deserves, or what monkey piss maybe. Yeah, because that's what this season is.
Goats and Gamebots, episode 6.
Yeah,
monkey piss.
And I on my mashed potato scale.
Mashed potatoes. That's the soundbite we need.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 13%, which is straight spud.
Certified spud.
Yeah, so we've got certified mash on one end, and we got straight spud on the other.
That's a rotten potato.
As my summary for this season, I have complete and total ass. There was a terrible cast, with so many dislikable people, from Rob, Clay, Helen. I hated Helen so much. Yep. I can't understate that. We got, just terrible gameplay, terrible confessionals. The grind gate between Ted and Gandia is the thing that people remember this season by, and that is awful. Like nothing else happened this season.
You need to say
and it's such an uncomfortable moment that was handled so poorly by production and the people involved, and just all of it is just gross. And an obvious winner. Right? Like, I feel like it was easy to pin a while out. He was the only one playing the game.
I think I said it episode 4.
Yeah. And nobody to root for. Like, Jake is the person you root for, and you knew he was going to get put on just like everybody else.
Yeah.
So it speaks to how terrible this season is. The reason I gave it a 13%, like actually gave it some points, is because, again, like you said, production-wise, it's getting there. It is Survivor. And we got some quality Jeff, even if that Jeff was angry at how terrible the cast was. But yeah, this is the first really, really, really bad season of Survivor, and potentially the worst in my mind. So this is a bottom 3 season for sure.
Monkey pissing in mouth.
Yeah, monkey pissing in mouth. Truly, that's how I feel about this season. But another one in the books. Somehow we got through it. We did it, right? We conquered the season, right? Would not recommend you doing the same if you value your sanity during quarantine, but hey, you got to do what you got to do when you have a podcast with this sort of premise.
Give the people what they want.
We're doing a little Amazon preview.
Yeah, how do we feel about the Amazon so far?
We've watched 2 episodes. Way better than Thailand. I mean, we'll see at the end of the season. I like it a lot, but I think I only like it a lot because
it's coming off the heels
so
of
bad.
Thailand. Survivor Amazon. It's not Thailand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's, so far the best thing that it could be. It's
like,
not Thailand.
Production value on this one is okay.
It looks nice.
Yeah.
It looks nice. It feels like an upgraded Borneo.
Tribal Council?
Upgraded Borneo.
Yeah. But still not.
I have notes on it, but we'll get there.
But yeah, we'll get there.
All right, stay tuned.
Hang in until next episode when we review Survivor Amazon. Until then, we're signing off. Thank you for putting up with this season and us. We'll see you next episode.